We are live. What's up, everybody? We are Reason, religiously educated atheists, secularists, and other non-theists, aka the Secular Round Table. My name is Aeolus, and I'm your host. I go by the moniker Your Favorite Atheist. You can find me at God Works Out on Twitter, at God Works Out on YouTube, and at God Works Out on IG. Don't forget to check out our new website, thesecularroundtable.com. Tonight, for our discussion, we're going to be talking about the war on Christmas. And tonight we have the Godless Engineer and Nick Hall from Godless Assholes. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and allow them to do their introductions, and we'll get this thing started.
Hello, I am Godless Engineer. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, all those lovely social networking places. And on Facebook, though, I not only have a page, but I also have a group. If you'll type in Godless Engineer or Godless Engineering, you will be able to find the group and subsequent smaller groups that are attached to the main group. I suggest checking those out, poking around a little bit, and seeing if you like it. And if you do, stay and join in the conversation.
Hi guys, like Aeolus said, my name is Nicholas. I am a part of the Facebook page Godless Assholes, and that's just pretty much self-explanatory how to find on Facebook. Just look that up. So, thank you.
All right, guys, so as we mentioned, tonight we're going to be talking about the war on Christmas, or is there a war on Christmas? So I'm going to go ahead and start this thing out. I don't think that there is a war on Christmas, and we're going to be discussing that a lot tonight, but I'm going to go ahead and give you a little bit of the reason why I don't think there's a war on Christmas. And basically when Christians define this war on Christmas, they think that it is a war on their holiday in which they celebrate their Savior's birthday. And as we know, here in America, we don't really celebrate Christmas or Christmas. We really just celebrate a pagan ritual, essentially. So, first of all, the holiday Christmas. We got somebody on YouTube, Infinity CL. He's saying that he couldn't hear Nicholas, so Nicholas, make sure you speak up a little louder. And welcome to the show, Infinity. So anyway, Christmas. December 25th was known throughout ancient Rome as Saturnalia, so it didn't begin as Christmas. There was a lot of winter solstice pagan holidays. So as I said, it's Saturnalia. But first of all, Christmas as Christ's birthday is not biblical at all. And if you guys know, I did a recent post on our website, thesecularroundtable.com, where I talked about how in Luke, in the second chapter, I believe it was, it says that Mary and Joseph supposedly came all the way back to Bethlehem for a census in which everyone in the empire went back to their hometown, which is absolutely ridiculous to mention, but that's what it says, and it says they were all registered in a Roman census. And if we're to take the Bible at face value here, we know that there was no Roman census during the winter because the roads would freeze, they weren't in great condition. Basically, it would be a struggle to survive in that part of the world during winter. We also know from second chapter of Luke that it says the shepherds were in the fields, and we know that there were no shepherds in the fields in December. Another thing is you can compare internally the age of John, who was in the second trimester when Jesus was conceived, and that's in Luke 1, 8 through 13, and 23 through 24. And you can come to the conclusion that biblically, Jesus' birthday was in September. And there is, if I can remember his name, there was a historian that said that September 3rd was the historical birthday of Jesus. So if I find that later in the stream, I'll be sure to bring that back up. But another thing that I wanted to talk about was historically why we know that it's not Christ's birthday. And the reason is we know that Saturnalia was the pagan ritual, and it evolved over the years into gift giving, and people would bring trees into their homes. Some people would go out into the woods and worship the tree. It was basically a week where Roman courts shut down and chaos ensued. People would go to other people's houses and sing naked. I mean, if you think about it, that's where we have, the singing from house to house, Christmas carolers. Think about that. The history of it was people were going around naked and singing. Lots and lots of drinking, social drinking, just generally having fun. So I want to also touch back on the Christmas tree really quickly. And I'm going to read you a passage from Jeremiah 10, 1 through 4, which talks about the Christmas tree. Now, a lot of people will try to, I know that there was some lady that tried to argue with the godless engineer the other day about how it's about idol worship. And technically, it is about idol worship because Saturnalia was an idol worship thing with the Christmas tree. They would decorate the tree and worship it. So here we go, Jeremiah 10, 1 through 4, which is a strict commandment not to join in on the pagan ritual of bringing a tree into your home and decorating it. Hear ye, the word of the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver, they deck it with gold, they fasten it with nails and hammers, that it move not. That's a pretty strict commandment from God not to participate in that pagan ritual. But what did we do? Well, we know that if you want to look at the Bible, Israelites and everyone else was really sinful or idolatrous. And we know that people generally were very interested in pagan holidays. So what happened? The Catholic Church was trying to adopt this holiday because they wanted people to join the Catholic Church. They wanted these pagans to become involved. So basically they kind of accepted the fact that they were going to adopt this pagan holiday, and they needed to stamp it with the Catholic Church's approval. So they thought, hey, the sun being born, which is what the winter solstice was symbolic of or symbolized, the sun being born. So they thought, hey, we can use this as Christ's birthday. And that's what they did. But all you need to know is that there's no war on Christmas, and Christmas is not Christ's birthday. It's not a Christian holiday. And we have biblical and historical evidence that support my stance on this. And for at least 400 years, no one even celebrated Christmas. I mean, even in the 1600s, might have been the 1680s, the Puritans banned Christmas. They said nobody's going to be celebrating this pagan holiday. And we also know that the birthday of Jesus was not very important to people, because the very first gospel, which was the Gospel of Mark, didn't even mention the birth of Jesus. In fact, the Gospel of Mark actually begins around the baptism of Jesus. So he's already a grown freaking man. So they either lacked interest or they just didn't have the knowledge of his birthday. So basically my stance on this whole thing was just to show you guys that Christ's birthday is not December 25th from the biblical view. And historically we know that it's not a celebration of Christmas, or what Christians like to think their holiday is about, but it's really not. And I also wanted to point out there the Christmas tree, because the idea of Christmas here in America is the Santa Claus wishy-washy pagan ritual version, where we give each other presents, we do things like that, we drink our eggnog, we decorate our Christmas tree, we put up lights everywhere. And it's not about the nativity scenes and things like that they make it out to be. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to the godless engineer, because he would like to speak about nativity scenes.
Yes, I would. Because nativity scenes are generally the most fought over displays around this time of year. They're also one of the things that seem to set off this whole war on Christmas. Generally, it's Bill O'Reilly or one of his fellow Fox News cohorts that get on there and they start spouting about the war on Christmas because somebody wants to put up some other religious display on a courthouse ground next to a nativity scene. And it's usually seen as an affront or an assault on Christmas, when it's really not. Because, for one thing, on public grounds like courthouses or any other public establishments where the government has funded the building, or the government is paying for, paying somehow for it to be there, um, you know, uh, they see it as an assault because people are wanting to put their religious thing right next to it. Sorry, I got distracted by a message. They see it as an assault because somebody else wants to put their religious monument or their religious display up next to it. But you see, for one thing, the nativity scene itself is it's not supposed to be there on like the courthouse grounds in the first place. And so what generally happens, or at least in my experience from what I've noticed in past Christmases, has been that they have wanted to take the Christmas or the nativity scene down. They've wanted to remove it, but of course there's a heavy Christian presence in the governing body, and so they won't. They say that it's not breaking the Constitution or anything like that. So they're like, fine, well, we want our religious display up too. Now, this has come from the flying spaghetti monster or the Pastafarians. This has come from I think the Satanists might have wanted to put something up this year. Maybe that was just me saying that they should be allowed to. But there's just all these different groups that want to have their stuff put up. Last year, it was a Festivus pole that apparently was blocking the view of a nativity scene that people were getting all up in arms about. And they want these displays up in the courthouse, but yet they don't want to allow others to put their display up. So they pretty much want to promote Christianity because they think that they have a monopoly on this time of year. And they really don't. And so what happens is that they tailspin into this whole war on Christmas, and all of a sudden we're assaulting their holiday, and it's their holiday because Jesus was born on December 25th, and blah 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 blah. And it just like nothing about Jesus' birth story makes sense, as Aeolus had pointed out. And as everybody knows, Christmas in general is pagan. No matter where the actual roots of the Christmas tree or anything come from, it's a pagan holiday, and so they want to act like it's original to them, but it's not. But the subject here is this war on Christmas and how it ties to nativity scenes, and you see, they want them up on courthouse lawns and other public places, and they just can't have them. Now, here's where you don't really hear a lot about it in the news. It's how many nativity scenes are up at churches, and nobody says anything about them. How many nativity scenes are up at people's own personal houses, and nobody says anything about them? When you hear about it in the news, about this war on Christmas, and it concerns a nativity scene, it's usually about a public establishment and it promoting Christianity. Obviously promoting Christianity by denying other people the right to display their stuff in the public setting. So by denying that other group, you have shown that you have denied that you are promoting Christianity, and that is the problem. But you'll notice I sincerely doubt there has ever been a case or anything like that has actually seriously come up where somebody has complained about a nativity scene on somebody's yard, unless for some reason the nativity scene was breaking the law. I don't know how it could have, but I'm sure people can come up with a way that a nativity scene could break the law. Like maybe it's a nude nativity scene. I don't know. I'm sure it's been tried before. But that's pretty much it. You know, the fact that the war on Christmas, it's either started by nativity scenes being put up at courthouses or American atheists putting up an atheist billboard in New York, New Jersey, or apparently Wisconsin. And those are generally the things that start this war on Christmas, and it's not really a war on Christmas at all. I don't know. Mine was kind of short tonight, so I'm gonna hand it over to Nicholas and see what he has to say about the war on Christmas. Unless Aeolus has anything to say or add.
Just clarification, we do have infinity. I apologize for saying he. Generally, you know, we say he or him for everything, just for the sake of not having to say he, she, or he, him, her, which yes is a patriarchal thing having to do with, you know, all that other good stuff that we're not going to talk about. So shout out to Cheryl, that's who's actually here, and she said that she loves to make John stutter. Ha ha ha. So with that said, I want to read one comment that we have from someone on the Philosophical Atheism page, Keith Anderson. He says, I personally am sick to death of the Christian war on Saturnalia. And that's probably the best way of looking at it. So now, without further ado, we have our guest here, Nick Hall from the Godless Assholes. Nick Hall, tell us what you think.
So I hope my mic's better now. I don't agree with this whole thing about there's this war on Christmas. Even though I am young in a sense, I've always heard this all my life, and the whole reason behind a lot of the reasons for this war on Christmas is absolutely ridiculous in some sense. It's just like little things that some religious organizations, and especially a lot of groups with Christianity, just want to nitpick at. And from what I've also witnessed, it's just one of those things where I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it. Basically, if another group or of another religion or of a group of a non-religious organization want to do something for Christmas or their own kind of themed thing, it's always pretty. I'm sorry. I'm nervous, but just so I don't go off into this rant, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with this whole war on Christmas, and
well, it seems that the Christians and the prototype atheist, he couldn't be here tonight, but he has a really great video about this. It's called the Christian pseudo-persecution narrative. It's that, you know, Christian Savior Jesus Christ was so persecuted throughout his life, and they're taught that when they suffer or when they're persecuted, that's how they most identify with Jesus, and that has been the historical and biblical teaching throughout the years. So I think that they need to have, like, they project this persecution, and this is just another example of it. And the thing is, there's no war on Christmas. We all fucking love Christmas. We like Christmas. We all celebrate Christmas. I mean, even other groups have their own version of Christmas. And if you think about it, Christmas is basically, if you look at the economics of it, there's a whole 3-month period in which Christmas is kind of technically celebrated in the economic sense, or at least prepared for and executed. We also have a federal holiday. Christmas is recognized as a federal holiday, and most people celebrate Christmas. I mean, I can look out my window right now and I see my next door neighbor has all of his Christmas lights up. So, and you know, it's just the beginning of December. That's just the thing, man. People like Christmas. There's no war on Christmas. You can stop this bullshit projection of persecution. Nobody's persecuting you. We like Christmas, and we don't care if you want to celebrate Christmas in the pagan way. You don't have to externalize this Christianity. Okay, we know that you don't actually celebrate it to celebrate Jesus' birthday. Okay, we know that you do presents and you bring in your pagan tree just like your God tells you not to. You decorate it with lights and silver and gold, deck the holly, blah blah blah. We already know this. Okay. There's no war on Christmas. What do you say, Godless Engineer?
Yeah, there's like objectively, there's no war on Christmas, and it really is ridiculous to think that there is. I mean, if you really want to, I mean, just think about it intelligently for a second. What would an actual war on Christmas be? I mean, there would be actual assaults, like calculated assaults. So, what would a calculated assault on Christmas look like? Well, it definitely wouldn't be atheists putting up billboards letting other atheists know that it's okay not to go to church and not appease their their loved ones that want to force them into church. You would see billboards that were a bit more provocative. You would see billboards that were like that were like crap. I don't know. Hold on. I don't know. You would see billboards that were a bit more targeted to a Christian crowd. Like, I remember there was one billboard, it might have been by the American Atheist, but there was one billboard that said, it's a myth, and obviously they weren't talking to Christians. It would have said something more along the lines of like, you've been lied to, or something like that, or your book is just one big lie, or something like that. You would see language that is more geared towards Christians, not something that was really penned for atheists that are kind of in hiding, that don't feel comfortable coming out. So I mean, you would see stuff like that going around. You would also see people like on news programs talking about how we should change the Christmas holiday to something else, like back to Saturnalia, or to actual like happy holidays, or something like that. Now, I know that a lot of people advocate for saying happy holidays right now, but it's more of a, at least for me, it's more of a advocating for people to respect each other as far as what they celebrate exactly. And one thing in particular this year that I've been hearing that I really agree with is that this is the time of year when the Christians like to force the Jewish cashier to say Merry Christmas to the atheist customer. And that really is kind of like what the tone is around this time of year, because whenever somebody speaks up and they want to advocate against having to by default say Merry Christmas, or like for instance, I think Jimmy John's, they actually have a sticker that has Merry Xmas on there, and of course Christians apparently don't know that the Xmas is short for Christmas, because the X stands for the Grecian word for Christ, right? And they don't know this, and so they just immediately think that it's taking Christ out of Christmas, and therefore it's an assault on their religion, and which I think is really hilarious. But you would see, like, some kind of legislation, like politicians pushing for you would see politicians pushing to have something like mandated by law for this time of the year, not necessarily for what people say, but like the federal holiday wouldn't be called Christmas Day or something like that. It wouldn't be we are off for Christmas. It would be we're off for some whatever holiday. We wouldn't be calling it that. I mean, so I mean, there's really not any kind of war on Christmas because we're not really assaulting Christmas. We're not assaulting Christmas, and nobody's assaulting Christmas in any kind of tangible way, you know. So whenever they start spouting about this war on Christmas, like Aeolus was saying, that it's really more about their persecution complex, how they have to define everything in this whole idea that they are persecuted, that they have to be persecuted because that's what Jesus said that they would that would happen to them. And I mean, I know, I mean, that's what it does say in the Bible, and I'm not saying that every single Christian in America believes this, obviously, but a significant amount of people in America do believe every single word of the Bible, or at least every single word of the gospel, and they don't think critically about it. And so they don't, they just think that they are just so persecuted even now, that every single little thing that assaults their religion, their belief, their faith is taken as a personal assault, or is taken as them being persecuted, because it fits into the, I guess, common knowledge, I guess, for Christians. And it's really that it seems like every single year they have to be they have to find even smaller things to be persecuted about, and it just seems to be dwindling even farther and farther every single year.
And I want to add on to some of what you said with the billboards, and how a lot of Christians and even people of other denominations and faiths are just looking for, as the years go by, the smallest things to feel offended about. And this is my general observation with this, and I know a lot of people in my life that are extremely religious, that take the word of the Bible very, very seriously, and you can't say anything bad against it. And I know some people that are still religious but don't follow the book word for word. And I find that the people who aren't, I guess, aren't more loyal to it in a sense. I don't know if loyal is the right word. They don't feel offended about this stuff, about the billboards that American atheists put up, or just people say about it in general. Even though with people that take the book more seriously, they just they take it a lot more seriously, and they will just look for the smallest things I've ever seen in my life to feel persecuted about. So.
So real quick, everybody say hello to the mascot of Reason, Sky, my partner in crime, and my new co-pilot when I'm in the sky. So that's where she got her name. She is the mascot of Reason. So I wanted to turn this over, since we technically are already in a discussion portion of the show. I have a couple comments that I want to read from Instagram. We have a bowl of Ebola, and he says, let me get this right, why do you think Christians get all offended when you point out it's a pagan holiday? And why do they always say that it's a Christian holiday now, as a reason for it to stay Christian? GE, would you like to address that comment since I addressed the last one?
Well, they get so offended by it now, I guess, because they have to hold on to it. I mean, they've pushed this idea that Christmas is a Christian holiday for so long that even though it didn't start off as one, that they have to hold on to it. And I mean, it's it's kind of like it's fine if you want to keep it. It really is. But you know, the problem comes in when you're trying to force other people to celebrate it too, or to, you know, acknowledge it. That's where this whole happy holidays thing kind of comes into play. Like when people would rather you say, well, happy holidays. Normally that argument comes up with you know, the service industry. You know, you're supposed to say happy holidays because, you know what, you're not just serving Christians. Okay, you're serving the general public, and the general public has different religious faiths. Now, unless you know specifically, you know, what that person practices, maybe you shouldn't say Merry Christmas because they possibly don't know, they don't celebrate Christmas. So why would you tell them Merry Christmas when they don't celebrate Christmas? That's, you know, that's really, that seems very rude to me. And why, you know, as a business entity, why would you want to be rude to your customers? You know, even if the majority of your customers wouldn't take it as being rude, that they would just, you know, take it in stride. I mean, why wouldn't you want to best serve your customers, you know, by saying happy holidays? Because it is the holidays. And that's just the best way to address people. And you know, they get mad about it. The only reason why I can really think that they get so mad about it when you point it out to them is because um, I guess they feel like you're assaulting you know, their faith. It's the same reaction that you get when you tell them that, you know, well, the Bible's fiction, or you criticize anything about their faith because they've attached their own personal self to their beliefs. So if you attack their beliefs, then you're attacking their personal selves, and they take it as a personal attack. And so they feel this need to get defensive about it, and they attack you. Now, that's, of course, I'm not trying to paint with a broad brush here and say that every single Christian feels that way, but those that do react negatively are generally the ones that, you know, attach themselves to their own personal beliefs. I think I answered all of that, didn't I?
Yes, I think you did pretty good. Let's also not forget about Zephaniah 1:8. I will punish all those following pagan customs. Just had to put that out there. So for all you pagans, all you Christians out there celebrating pagan customs, a.k.a. Easter, we need to do an Easter special too, because that's another one. But all you need to know is that there's no war on Christmas. We all like Christmas for the most part, unless you're just a Scrooge. And to kind of address the other point of his question, which is why they get all offended. Dude, they're going to get offended at anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Like we said, they need to feel that persecution. So even if there is no persecution, which there isn't, that's why there's a church on every corner. They gotta feel it. So even if it's not there, they have to invent it, because Jesus said that, you know, they were going to feel persecuted, and many scoffers and mockers were going to come and spit on them because of his name. You know, he also said, give all your possessions to the poor, but we don't see him following that one. So anything else you guys would like to say about that before we go into the hypocrite of the week? Nick?
Well, actually, I was going to mention Persephone's comment about Texas, their you know, Merry Christmas law or something like that. They, I think it was like last year, I want to say, they wrote into law about how, you know, you can't force a school or something like that. I can't remember. I know the Infinity CL is talking about it. She says, okay, yes, the Merry Christmas bill removes legal risks of saying Merry Christmas in schools while also protecting traditional holiday symbols such as menorah or nativity scene. So basically, the Merry Christmas bill says that you know, is basically allowing schools in Texas to put up, you know, nativity scenes at, you know, public schools, which is an obvious violation of the Constitution. But of course, in Texas, they don't want to see it that way because Texas is hashtag Merkin.
Well, if what was it? Was it Mississippi or Michigan that we saw earlier? They're trying to pass a theocracy bill so that they can.
Yeah, it was Michigan. It was Michigan, actually. Michigan passed the theocracy bill, basically, is what it is. Well, okay, last I heard, it was at the Senate, and I really hope that it actually doesn't go through the Senate and actually get passed into law. It could be wrong. It could already be law now, but basically, that particular law is it says that it can't force anybody to violate their deeply held religious beliefs in either personally or in business. And so what that means is that it's basically protection, or at least the motivation of it is protection against marriage equality, and so that people are so that people can't, if they don't want to, they don't have to marry same-sex couples. And but this open, like just the way that it sounds, I haven't actually read the law, but the way that it sounds just makes it seem like if you have any kind of deeply held religious belief, which I'm interpreting deeply held religious belief to mean Christian. If you have any kind of deeply held religious belief, then you can do anything you want to. Now, mind you, there's a Tennessee pastor by the name of Donnie Regan. He will not marry interracial couples because, and he'll deny this, but he's a racist, and he's a racist by the Bible. Like, he uses the Bible or what somebody says about the Bible in order to deny, like, the mixing of the races. So he wants to segregate the races. And so, you can pull anything out of the Bible, claim that it's a deeply held religious belief, and be able to do it in Michigan. That opens up sexual slavery, slavery in general. Let's see, you need a new wife? As long as you got 50 shekels or the equivalent in American money, you can go out and buy you one as long as you rape her first. I mean, come on.
Cheryl said that it was passed. But I actually think that this is a good idea, and the reason why I think that, now I'm not saying that theocracies are a good idea, but I think that Michigan doing this is really going to set the tone and show people why theocracies don't work. So many times you'll have these hardcore right-wing Christians who are like, oh, Islam is so bad, what they're doing over there in their country is so horrible, but then you start to notice that they have so much in common with these Muslims over there that have their theocracies. And so I really think that giving them this and letting them see how bullshit it is and how it's not actually going to work is probably a good idea. If we just go ahead and nip it in the bud now, even though it's wrong, let's just go ahead and prove why theocracy doesn't work. And also, when it comes to the topic of who you can serve as a business and who you can marry and things like that, people need to understand that when you open a business here in the United States of America, you have to abide by state and federal laws. This is why you have to marry same-sex couples, because if a state and the federal government recognizes same-sex marriage, then legally as a business, you have to serve them. That is what you agree to when you make that agreement with our government, that you're going to have this business and serve the community, because that's what it doesn't matter what you believe. I mean, we could be in another country where the federal or state government says that, well, you can only serve, let's just say you can only serve Scottish people. Then it would be against the law to serve anyone else, and you would go to jail. So yes, you can theoretically be fined and jailed for not abiding by the state and federal laws. And I think that they really need to enforce that. I mean, they're going to yell persecution no matter what, but they need to enforce it, because we are in the United States of America. It's 2014. It's about to be 2015. You bigots need to all just go ahead and die off, and so, the younger generation can step up. We already see that religiosity is on the decline. So many people think that religion is irrelevant and not a part of their daily lives. I can post a link to that poll. So really, the age of reason is coming. It will be upon us soon, and we can go ahead and get all this nonsense out of the way. Nick, you have anything to say about that?
In regards to the theocracy bill that's going on in Michigan, I did a little bit of research just a few minutes ago. I don't think it's officially been signed in yet, but it has passed through Michigan's little setup with laws. It has passed through, so it just has to be considered, then signed in, from my understanding. Then again, I could be wrong. And you said that like religion in general is on a decline, and I agree with that. I'm personally in high school myself. I'll just go ahead and say that. And compared to from what I've seen, religion's slowly just coming down. Just from what I see, it's just religion just becoming this thing that a lot of people my age, some people that are younger, meaning slightly older than me, are just starting to go away from. And they're actually starting to see actual truth and not a book filled with fairy tales. And that's kind of my thought on it.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of polls and studies that suggest that religiosity is on decline, and it's only a matter of time. I mean, it's so fanatical here in America, and that's why it's still going on. And just simply put, religion here makes a crap ton of money, and that is really what is keeping the system going. And just as a personal anecdote, when I lived in South Carolina, I was the youngest person in my church. The next oldest person was like 40, and he was the second youngest. Him and his wife, they were in their 40s, and then after that, it was like 60s. And this was one of the most popular churches in my area. So if that gives you a demographic of like what the most popular church in my area's general makeup was, it was mostly like 60-year-olds and above. I mean, there was only there's 3 people in the church younger than 60 years old. GE, since we're on the decline of religiosity in America.
Yeah, I do think that it's on the decline. If you just look at simple data, I mean, the rise of this nuns is growing steadily. Now, I think that the rise of the nuns is pretty much people that are still what I would consider religious, but they don't consider themselves to be part of any kind of organized form of Christianity or a religion. But that really is a more of a step towards secularism, because one of the biggest factors that keeps people in religion is the fact that they are coached. They get into these churches and they are told what to think about these passages. They are told what to think when they read certain things in the Bible. They are told what passages to read and take to heart, and they are told what passages to not read and not take to heart. And which passages are in context now, which passages aren't in context now. They're coached in every sense of the word. And once you get out of the whole church aspect, once you actually leave a church, but you still consider yourself to be believing in God or whatnot, and you start researching yourself, you start reading the Bible yourself, you will come to find very quickly that a lot of things don't make sense in the Bible. And I have read several postings, like on the Friendly Atheist. There's this one particular blog post of a guy that was in seminary, and he talks about, like, I think 10 points that he was taught in seminary that are just things that are not taught in churches because it would turn people away. And I'll have to find that and see if I can get it to Aeolus so he can put it in the description of this particular show. But I mean, there are just so many things that are taught in seminaries and whatnot that just aren't being taught in churches because it would turn people away from the church. And I think that leaving the church, not going to church, and starting to investigate your faith on your own is one of the best things that a theist can do. And me personally, I am friends with a few Christians. Now, I'm not friends with asshole Christians because I know plenty of those. But I don't sit. I'm not the kind of atheist that sits here and thinks that all Christians are idiots. I know some Christians, and the ones that I choose to keep around me are rather intelligent. And I know that some of you would probably disagree with me, but I consider them fairly intelligent, whether or not I disagree with where they stop their critical thinking skills, in my opinion. And the so I just think that leaving organized faith is the best step to becoming secular.
Another thing is that believing in God has become so synonymous with being a good person that even the term atheist has a derogatory connotation. So we've got to get past that the belief in God is synonymous with being a good person, which we already know is common sense. Like, believing in God doesn't make you a better person than anyone else. And in fact, if you really want to go there, the prison population is made up of mostly religious people. And I did hear an argument from Kirk Cameron. He tried to say that they were all atheists before they got to prison, and then they got there and converted. So that's the type of idiocy that we're dealing with. But another thing that we're talking about here is that the age of reason coming, and will religiosity really decline? And a lot of people, a lot of prominent figures in atheism will tell you no, because Christianity has been around for so long. But the thing is, if it doesn't evolve, if it doesn't change with the time, if it continues to be anti-people, just like right now, a majority of the younger generation support equal rights for homosexuals, for the LGBT community. I know I support it. Almost all of my peers are in support of that. And the thing is, if the church keeps railing against things like that, eventually people are going to be anti-church, because people in my age group are so supportive of the LGBTQ community. And like I said, if churches don't evolve, if the beliefs don't evolve to be all-encompassing, it's not going to thrive and it's not going to survive, and that's just how it is. He also mentioned there the intelligence level of Christians, and there's a really great video that I did over on the Prototype Atheist channel called All Christians Are Dumb. The title is a little silly, but it's to kind of get you over there to watch the video. But basically in the video I talk about how Christians are not dumb, and my IQ didn't suddenly become higher just because I became an atheist. And the thing is, there are a lot of intelligent Christians out there. The problem is, the smarter that the person is, the more mental gymnastics that they'll go through to attempt to rationalize their beliefs, and they become some of the hardest people to convert, because not only are you dealing with a really smart person, but now they're trying to attempt to rationalize these crazy religious beliefs. So that's another thing there. And if you guys don't have anything to say, we're going to go into the Hypocrite of the Week.
If you guys don't care, I just want to add one final thing with the whole decline of religion. My personal belief is, I don't believe this generation, the generation that I'm currently living in, I believe the next generation may see the final decline of religion. Because it's just getting to a point where, like Aeolus said, the younger generation is starting to agree with more things that religion normally goes against. LGBT rights and just equal rights for anyone and everyone. So I do believe in the next generation or so, religion will be at an all-time low.
All right. It's time for the Hypocrite of the Week! This week's Hypocrite of the Week is going to Evangelist Anita Fuentes, because not only does she keep her piece locked and loaded, but she's a Christian, and if you dare punch her in her face, she ain't turning the other cheek. She's blasting, because nowhere in the Bible does it say to let someone hit you. So we're going to go ahead and play this video. Evangelist Anita Fuentes.
Well, now hold on. Now, doesn't the Bible say turn the other?
Wait, we gotta watch the video first.
Okay.
Okay, let's see here. Just give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear it and see it.
Nobody's going to charge at somebody with a gun. That's just stupid lies. Hey, Batista, come on. There are a lot of people who are willing to challenge somebody with a gun. People don't there are so many people. There's a lot of people. Somebody has a gun pointing at you. There are people who will still go up to a person with a loaded gun and say, "What? Shoot me, shoot me." We're living in the last days. People don't care who they challenge anymore. They don't realize that they could die. That's why it's crazy the hour that we're living in. There are many people who will go up to somebody with a gun. It's crazy. I know but that's just the way it is. Because they believe that they're not expendable. They believe that they believe nothing's going to happen to them. Oh my God. Janelle says, I wouldn't be surprised that you see a nationwide catastrophe over this issue. Diane Blue says, God bless godly law enforcement officers. Dixia says, when he continued to advance in Wilson's, Wilson's Death Center, aim was to the same side as his good eye.
They're talking about the Ferguson issue in case you didn't pick that up already.
Demita Tyson says, one punch doesn't constitute being shot 9 times. Demita, the grand jury received eyewitness testimony from multiple witnesses stating that Michael Brown punched multiple times for what's his name, Darren Wilson. He punched him multiple times. I carry a weapon. Evangelist Anita carries a weapon. I carry my weapon, and it's loaded. It's loaded. There's a bullets right here. Got one in the chamber. It's loaded. I carry mine on me all the time. I'll do that later. I carry mine on me all the time. If I ever, God forbid, anybody ever comes at me and wants to punch me in my face, and they do so, and they do it more than once, and I have my weapon, I will discharge it because I value my life. I value my life. Nowhere in the Bible does it say to allow somebody to punch you in the face over and over again. Nowhere does it say that. I value the life that God has given me. I'm a mother.
We're going to stop it right there. You heard it from the horse's mouth. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that if someone punches you, to let them punch you again or to continue punching you. GE, I see you had your hands over your mouth there. Do you want to comment on this?
You don't know how scared I got when she pulled out that gun. I was like, please don't put your finger on that trigger, woman. Don't. And then she pulls out the bullet, and I'm like, well, okay, at least she knows how to do that. But you know, I'll do that later. Oh no. But yeah. So I guess the whole "thou shalt not kill" doesn't mean anything in the Bible either. Neither does turn the other cheek. I mean, isn't that like even if it is a parable that Jesus uses, doesn't Jesus get hit? And like he says, just turn the other cheek. I mean, I'm not too familiar with that particular story.
Yeah, he basically says that basically violence is not the answer. If someone hits you, then you're supposed to turn the other cheek and do not resist. Allow them to strike you, and the ideology is supposed to work like this. If someone, just say they come up to you and they punch you in the face, and you offer them your other cheek, it's kind of showing that not only are you the bigger person in the thing, but they have to be really insane to strike you the second time. Now, obviously that doesn't work in any sense when it comes to war or being attacked by someone else. You're basically leaving yourself defenseless, but as you said, the Bible says thou shalt not murder. Jesus specifically said turn the other cheek. When they came for him in the Garden of Gethsemane and they were attacking him and trying to capture him, he told them, do not fight. When Peter cut the man's ear off, he was like, no, stop. He healed the man supposedly and gave him his ear back.
He picked up the dude's ear and he was like, here you go, man, and he super glued it back on.
Oh man, I mean, you have to understand, like.
But you also have to take into consideration the contradiction that comes along with this, though, because Jesus also did say that he did not come to bring peace; he came to bring the sword. So, I mean, I guess she could have an argument for blowing a dude's head off. Like, maybe if she had one of those guns. The Romeo and Juliet movie that Leonardo DiCaprio was in. Did you ever see that?
Yes.
They had, like, instead of actual, like, swords, they had guns, right? And it had, like, sword, like it had long sword written on the slide and whatnot. Maybe that's her sword, I guess. I don't know.
But the thing is, Nick, do you have anything that you want to say about this?
Not really. I was just kind of hoping the gun would go off just to show stupidity.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was afraid like the gun was gonna go off. I was afraid the gun was gonna go off because when I first saw the video on YouTube, it had like 100,000 views, and I was like, "Oh, geez, evangelist carries a gun, like it's gonna discharge, like the gun's gonna go." But thankfully, it didn't.
Yeah, I'm glad it didn't. I'm glad it didn't go off. Like I would have peed my pants if she had shot and it scared the crap out of her. Like that would have just made me pee my pants right there.
Persephone mentions in the chat having one in the chamber is just asking for an accident, and it really is. And I heard that I heard children in the background. I don't know if you guys heard that, but having one in the chamber is a recipe for disaster. And for you to say that it's nowhere in the Bible, I mean, are you just not displaying this blatant ignorance and lack of knowledge about what you supposedly uphold and say that you believe? Like, how can you do that?
Well, okay, I'm not exactly sure where the turn the other cheek in
the Gospels.
Well, yeah, no, but I mean, like the Book of John is radically different from the other three Gospels, and I know the Book of John is typically called the Republican Jesus. So it's possible that she could just be reading about Republican Jesus, and there might be a mention of assault rifle in there. I'm not sure. And Jesus, thou tookest out AK-47 and laid waste to the Philistines.
You may be right because I think it only appears in Matthew and Luke. But still, the point is, for you to say that nowhere does it say in the Bible, even if he's speaking in a metaphor, it doesn't even freaking matter because you blatantly said that nowhere does it say in the Bible if someone hits you to let them keep on hitting you. For that, I'm stamping you with hypocrite of the week. Go back to your little corner, read your Bible a couple times, okay? Then come back when you're ready to be rational and stop making stupid-ass statements like that, okay? Because there are people out here that are actually reading it. And we know what we're talking about. Reason, the first two words in this acronym we have, religiously educated. Because we know what we're talking about. We've read the Bible. We've read the Quran. So when you come and you approach us, or you just go out there and you purvey this information and pretend that you have a knowledge of your religion, we're going to call you a hypocrite, and we're going to point out the inconsistencies and the contradictions. Nowhere in the Bible does it say if someone hits you to let them hit you. Gee. I also got to point out that she is speaking about herself in the third person. Evangelist Anita Fuentes carries a piece, okay?
Yeah, I always like it when people do that too, because then that's like, all right, I've stamped you as crazy, and I know to get the fuck out of here.
I was about to say, isn't talking in third person kind of a sign of being insane and being an evangelical at the same time? It's a good combination.
But she also put her title on it. It would be like, I, President Barack Obama. Or, President Barack Obama signed this executive order today, like announcing the title in the third person, too.
Godless engineer don't take no shit. You understand? Godless engineer shove his size 13 shoe right up your ass. Do you understand me, boy?
The admin of Godless Engineering, Godless Engineer don't take no shit.
Yeah.
The host of Reason Aeolus, your favorite atheist, he don't take no shit, okay? Don't mess with him.
Nobody fucks with the Godless Engineer. You understand me, boy?
Cheryl said, gotta have people to pick those cherries. If it wasn't for Christians, we'd never have cherry pie. Persephone says, if you read the Bible, you would be, but if you read the Bible, you would not be an atheist. I think you meant to say, if you read the Bible, you will be an atheist.
No. Persephone was saying that's what he's been told before. Apparently, he's been told that because I've been told that too. That if I would just read the Bible, it's like, no, that's not what you mean. What you mean is if I would be coached on the Bible. If I would just be coached on the Bible, coached on what the Bible means, coached on what the Bible, is supposed to, you're supposed to interpret the Bible as saying, then you would get it. It's like, no, I would still have questions. Why is it that this particular part of the Bible overwrites this particular part? I get how Jesus right here says that, well, no, you can eat all, you're free to eat all the animals of the land when Leviticus says this right here. I get that since you're a Christian, you can eat everything just because Jesus says this. But I mean, you can't sit over here and use Leviticus 20:13, but you only half-ass use it. You don't use it like Steven Anderson uses it. No, you're such a fucking wimp that you only go halfway into it. You don't finish the fucking verse. And then when you get a Christian that actually finishes the verse, what do? The entire nation basically crucifies him. Which is pretty hilarious to me, because he's actually finishing the verse and he's actually being true to what the verse says, and Christians are totally crucifying him for following the Bible. That is just totally fucking hilarious to me.
Yeah, I gotta say I agree with that. I mean, the thing is, so let's get into this real quickly. Why I kind of have a speculation about why people don't read the Bible. For so long, they were told not to. I mean, I have a coworker that says that, oh, no, I'd never read the Bible because, my priest told me that we're not supposed to read the Bible. Only clergymen can read the Bible. And basically, if you believe that, you're setting yourself up for failure. Not only does the Bible tell you to read it and study it, 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15, study to show thyself approved, study the word, blah, blah, blah. But when the Bible kind of originated, so I'll just give you a real quick layman's version of how this Bible originated. A guy was combining all these letters and he made a Bible. Well, the church was so against this. I can't remember if they actually put him to death or not, but they were like, that's heresy, that's blasphemy, anybody that reads that is subject to punishment. And then they ended up adopting the thing. And then when the Bible was translated into Latin for almost 1,000 years, no common people could read the Bible for almost 1,000 years. Only educated, by educated I usually mean someone that was rich and had a lot of time to study, or priests were able to read the Bible for almost 1,000 years. And if you think about that for a minute, if people weren't even reading the Bible for 1,000 years, what tradition have we set ourselves up for, and why 80% of American Christians are not reading the Bible? I mean, it's basically the history. They haven't even been reading it for at least half of the time that the Bible was around. They were unable to read it. What do you think about that? I don't know if you guys know the backstory on it. I mean, I did go to school for this, so I have all this useless information.
I'm sorry, I got my attention got pulled away for a second. Can you repeat what you were just talking about?
So basically, when the Bible was first compiled and translated into Latin, common people, which is basically like us, except for me if I hadn't been religiously educated. But we wouldn't have been able to read the Bible, and no one was really able to read it except for priests and really rich people who had time to study for almost 1,000 years. So basically, people haven't even been reading their Bible for half of the time that the Bible was in existence, and we have polls that show, polls done by Christian churches and Christian groups that show that at least 80% of American Christians don't read their Bible. And I'm saying that not reading your Bible is the traditional approach. It's tradition. You just don't read it.
Well, yeah, I would say so. But going back to how most common people didn't read the Bible, I mean that pretty hits hits it on the mark. Just how it's kind of a perpetuated tradition, basically, of not reading your Bible and listening to your priest. It's just that it became so that the priests say, well, okay, here's the section that you need to read, but I'm going to go ahead and teach it to you. Just for future reference, here are the verses, and then they can do it at home or whatnot. But, the fact that a lot of common people back then, like in the early days of Christianity, couldn't read the Bible, didn't have access to Bibles, and that the Bibles and all of the Christian history were controlled by the clergy, is the reason why we have like perfect historical references for some of these things, and why we have forgeries now. Like, for instance, Flavius Josephus. That's his one direct passage about Jesus is a complete forgery, and it's because there was this one priest that just inserted it in there, and it's a blatant forgery because the people that used that same reference before him complained about Flavius Josephus not using it. So I mean, it really gave them a leg up, like the common people not reading the Bible, like not being able to read the Bible. It gave them a leg up and allowed them to like craft the Bible into this perfect system of control. It allowed them to do that, and it allowed them to just pretty much make a perfect system that it is now, or at least it was a perfect system until we started questioning things on a much grander scale.
Yeah, and it also kind of propagated the myth that the Bible is the good book. Now, I was actually talking to my friend the other day, and she sent me this meme of, I wish I could pull it up here, but basically it was like a warning label, and it was like, warning, reading the Bible will lead to intense feelings of joy, and, you will feel so enlightened, and you'll be so happy to accept God and Jesus, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what book were they reading? And she said the book that talks about donkey dicks. So yeah, Ezekiel 23 and 20, Yeah, it's not a good book. It's never been a good book. But because people were unable to read it for so long and they could only rely on what priests told them, they have this mythological understanding of the Bible that it's this great and awesome book, and everything in it is just so great in the word of all omnibenevolent, all-loving creator deity. And it's just so false. I mean, all you have to do is read it. I mean, what kind of God doesn't let you have Christmas trees? Come on, man. I mean, Christians kind of subconsciously realize that. Like, come on, God, Christmas trees? Nah, we're going to have our Christmas trees. So, Nick, anything you'd like to say before we wrap up?
If it's considered a good book, I guess I can go out and start stoning some people, but but no, I really don't have much to add on to it, to be honest with you.
Cool, man. So go ahead and talk about your Facebook page and everything real quickly. We're going to go ahead and wrap up.
Okay, so again, my name's Nicholas. I'm the runner of now a Facebook page called Godless Assholes. Godless Assholes is basically just it's a satirical pro-atheism page, but we can promote serious messages when needed and required. But if you go over there, you'll find some pretty good stuff every now and then.
GE, we're wrapping up now. You want to go ahead and advertise a little bit?
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, my son had woken up. I'm the Godless Engineer. You can find me on. Or are we doing that? Okay. I'm Godless Engineer. You can find me on Facebook. Just go there, type in Godless Engineer in the search bar. Also type in Godless Engineering, and you can find various groups that are attached to the page. We have our main group, and then we have several subgroups that are very useful. Also, you can find me here on YouTube. I have a pretty active channel. I am starting a few series that I'm going to try to keep going if I can. I'm really liking it so far. Today I uploaded the first one in my church science series, where I just go around my city and I give my 2 cents on church signs that are up, because usually they're pretty hilarious. And they try to be funny, or they try to be clever, and they just fail miserably most of the time. And then tomorrow I will be uploading a new Did Jesus Exist video, and I'm going to try to keep up a schedule of one Did Jesus Exist per week, and that's going to be on Mondays. And then another one that I'm starting up this week is going to be on Fridays with fallacies, where I try to explain the intricacies of some lesser-known fallacious arguments in funny and expletive ways. So do try to tune in. I still will be uploading regular response videos and whatnot like that, but I am going to try to up my presence on YouTube and on my channel in general. So do tune in, subscribe, and put me on notifications, because you will. I have been told that I'm fairly funny and informative. So find me on Twitter also, and on Instagram.
As you guys know, I'm Aeolus. I'm your host. I go by the moniker Your Favorite Atheist. You can check out our news site, The Secular Roundtable. So before I finish that up, we've got Cheryl over on YouTube. She say, I always say it's the longest running bestseller that not too many people have actually read. And she's referring to the Bible. What you need to know here, bestseller, we'll put that in quotes, because these churches are the ones buying all the Bibles with the money that people give them. Not very many people are just going out buying Bibles. I mean, you think about it, hotel rooms and ships and like all these churches that have all these Bibles. Think about who is really buying the Bibles. So with that said, I have another comment over here on Facebook on the Philosophical Atheism page by Josh Metheny. He says, the only war is being waged by Fox News and the right wing against the re-secularization of the United States. I agree with you there, Josh. So as I was mentioning, you can find me over on the secularroundtable.com. Now, I'm getting ready to pull it up here. Tell me if you guys can see it. Got our site. Can you see it, guys? All right, cool. Our site. So if you go over here to the store, we have T-shirts. And on our T-shirts, we are making our own original designs. 50% of the proceeds go to the Freedom from Religion Foundation, one of my favorite groups. I am a member of it. And the other 50% will go to promoting our page, our channel, our live show. So we have the prototype atheist design here. Keep calm. It seems legit. It is up for pre-order, and it will be shipping out on January 20th. So go over there to the site if you want to support the prototype atheist and reason in general. Go ahead and pre-order that shirt. It'll be shipping. All these 3 shirts will be shipping on January 20th. We also got the Rational Tee that was designed by me, because I know I saw one that was think. It was spelled think, and I was like, hey, you know, I like being rational. Using reason is all about being rational, so here we go, Rational, shipping on January 20th. And then we have the Godless Engineer's design and his signature catchphrase, think skeptically and stay godless, #TSSG. Go over there to the secularroundtable.com and check it out. And we have the Reason t-shirts, which are currently in stock and are $20, and they will ship out within 1 business day of your order. So with that being said, as I mentioned, I'm Aeolus, your host. You can follow me on Twitter at GodWorksOut. You can follow me on Instagram at GodWorksOut. You can follow me on YouTube at GodWorksOut. Don't forget to check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/philosophicalatheism. I've been admin there for quite some time now. Also, check out facebook.com/religionhurtshumanity. I've been an admin over there for a really long time now. They also have a blog at religionhurtshumanity.com that you should go check out. Also, we got to talk about one of our sponsors really quickly, Atheism Box. If you like monthly subscription boxes like I do, you should head over to atheismbox.com and sign up for the very first Atheist monthly subscription box. They're all about promoting positivity and the understanding of science without trashing any religions. And I know personally, you know, sometimes as atheists we can really rail on religion, but we really don't care about what you believe. We really just want to be free to exercise our beliefs or lack of belief. And that's really what they're all about over there, atheismbox.com. So go check it out. Don't forget to sign up. And if you want to support our live show, you can head over to patreon.com/reason. We have, I don't know if we have any subscribers to that yet, but I'll check it out. If you do, we appreciate it greatly. You know, we always mention the prototype atheist. He needs some new video editing software really badly. So if you'd like to support us, guys, that's the way to do it. We prefer that you buy the t-shirts because you'll be supporting us and the Freedom from Religion Foundation and getting a pretty awesome t-shirt at the same time. So make sure you guys do that. If anybody doesn't have anything else to say, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. GE, do your signature catchphrase.
All right, guys. Remember to think skeptically and stay godless.
Prototype atheist is not here, but I'll say it for him. Keep calm. It seems legit. And as I always say, guys, thanks for watching. And don't forget to tune in next week because we do this weekly, every week at 9 p.m., in case you didn't know. So thanks for watching. Reason.